भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेव। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Get part two. Get part two. Oh, okay. Please repeat. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyotir. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyotir. Nirguno Sau Gunashraya. Nirguno Sau Gunashraya. Sarvago Anavrita Sakshi. Sarvago Anavrita Sakshi. Niratma Atma Atmana Paraha. Niratmatmana para. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyoti. Nirguno Sauguna Shraya. Sarvagona Vritta Sakshi. Niratmatmana para. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyoti. Nirguno Sauguna Shraya. Sarvaguna Vritta Sakshi. Niratmatma Mana Para. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyoti. Nirguno Sauguna Shraya. Sarvaguna Vritta Sakshi. Niratmatma Mana Para. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyoti. Nirguno Sauguna Shraya. Sarvaguna Vritta Sakshi. Niratmatma Mana Para. Eko Suddha Swayam Jyoti. Nirguna Sauguna Shraya. Sarvaguna Vrita Sakshi. Niratmatmana Para. Eka Suddha Swayam Jyoti. Nirguna Sauguna Shraya. Sarvaguna Vrita Sakshi. Niratmatmana Paraha. Niratmatmana Para. Anyone else would like? Ekasuddha Swayam Jyotir Nirguna Saugunashaya Sarvaguna Vrita Sakshi Niratmatma Manapara. Please repeat the synonyms. Ekaha, one. Suddhaha, pure. Swayam, self. Jyotihi, effulgent. Nirgunaha, without material qualification. Aso, that. Guna Ashraya, the reservoir of good quality. Sarvaga, able to go everywhere. Anavrita, without being covered by matter. Sakshi, witness. Niratma, without another self. Atma Atmana, to the body and mind. Paraha, transcendental. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Chanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada. Jai. The individual soul is one, pure, non-material, and self-effulgent. He is the reservoir of all good qualities, and He is all-pervading. He is without material covering, and He is the witness of all activities. He is completely distinguished from other living entities, and He is transcendental to all embodied soul. Purport. In the previous two verses, two significant words are used. Asam Shaktaha, meaning without attachment, and Buddhaha, meaning fully cognizant of everything. By full cognizance, it is meant that one should know about his own constitutional position, as well as the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in this verse, Lord Vishnu is describing himself, or the Paramatma. The Paramatma is always distinguished from the embodied soul as well as the material world. Therefore, he has been described as Para. That Para, or Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Eka, meaning one. The Lord is one, whereas the conditioned souls embodied within the material world exist in many varieties of form. There are demigods, human beings, animals, trees, birds, bees, and so forth. Thus, the living entities are not eka, but many. As confirmed in the Vedas, nityo nityanam, chetanas chetananam. The living entities who are many and who are entangled in this material world are not pure. However, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pure and detached. Due to being covered by the material body, the living entities are not self-effulgent. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, is self-effulgent. The living beings, being contaminated by the modes of material nature, are called Saguna. Whereas Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Nirguna, not being under the influence of the modes of material nature. The living entities being engaged in material qualities are Gunashrita, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Gunashraya. The conditioned soul's vision is covered by material contamination. Therefore, he cannot see the cause of his actions, and he cannot see his past lives. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, not being covered by a material body, is the witness of all activities of the living entity. But both of them, the living entity and the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are Atma or spirit. They are one in quality, yet they are different in so many ways, especially in regard to the 6 opulences the Supreme Personality of Godhead has in full. Full knowledge means that Jivatma, the living entity, must know both his position and the Supreme's position. That is full knowledge. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshtam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Ashta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam angum langayate girim yatrupatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramanandamadavam Sri Chaitanya Ishvara. Hare Krishna. So we continue with our discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam, on the pastimes of Prithu Maharaj. So up till now, just to refresh our memory, we're discussing Prithu Maharaj pastimes. When Prithu Maharaj appeared and he was being coronated, the Devatas, they gave Prithu Maharaj so many different wonderful gifts. And then there were professional singers that started glorifying Prithu Maharaj. And immediately Prithu Maharaj stopped them. He said, stop glorifying me because I've just appeared. I haven't started doing any activities. Nothing I've done to be glorified yet. Wait, later on, once I've done some activities, then you can glorify. And we love when people glorify us, even when we've done nothing. We're like, more. But he didn't take any credit. He said, I have not done anything. So we can see what it is that Prithu Maharaj did. He did many things that were to be glorified. We'll just take some of the things that we can glorify him for. So as a perfect king, he was the Satyavesh avatar. He's empowered with the ruling potency. So he took care of his citizens, not just of their spiritual needs, but also of their basic material needs. Because you can, if we have, someone is starving, and you go and start talking to him, oh, Prabhu, you're not this body, you're the soul, don't worry about it. The immediate need for that person is to give him some prasad. Then after that, once his hunger is satisfied, then he might be willing to take a book or hear some philosophy. So we have to see what is the need of the hour. It's not that there's just one, a common way to uplift others or give them Krishna consciousness. So similarly here, the earth had stopped giving grains. And everyone had gone to Prithu Maharaj and they were complaining and said, oh, we're starving, we're growing so skinny. And again, immediately Prithu Maharaj didn't just start preaching to them, but he actually went to Mother Earth. And then he asked Mother Earth, why are you doing this? And he was about to kill Mother Earth because she wasn't producing all the food grains. And Mother Earth explained to him, actually, these sinful people, they're eating all the food grains, then they're getting stronger and then committing more sinful activity. And that's our material advancement. So with material advancement, we've got more opportunities, more avenues to commit sinful activities. We've got more time with industries and mechanization. The more people have more time, there's more unemployment. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. So she's saying this is how people are exploiting her and then becoming stronger in their sinful activities. But Maharaj Prithu said, no, you don't worry about that. That's not your duty, is to provide. So you give all the food grains and give all the material ingredients. I will take care of their spiritual life. So I will worry about their sinful activities, how to reform them. You don't have to worry about it. And after that, we found how slowly they took all the different ingredients from Mother Earth, and everything was materially, everyone was satisfied. And then next, what to do? It's not enough that everyone's materially okay. Now we need to give them. We have to make them devotees. We have to give them some spiritual upliftment. So this way, the citizens are becoming purified, and Prithu Maharaj decided to undertake this yajna. He wanted to do 100 Ashwamedha yajnas. A yajna means for the pleasure of Vishnu, to please Vishnu. But in one sense, it was like a karma kanda activity. So he started doing this yajna. And once you start doing something and you're successful, naturally in the material world, people become envious. So similarly, as this yajna was going on, one person started becoming very insecure and envious. That was Lord Indra. Because Lord Indra, he was known as Shatakritu, one who has conducted these 100 sacrifices. So he's got that title and he's got the post of Indra. And it said if one does 100 of these sacrifices, then that person can take up the post of Indra. And Indra was worried that if Prithu Maharaj was successful, then he would lose his position. That's the envious mentality in this material world. We're always worried somebody else might take it. If we've got some position, some opulence, we're always worried somebody else might take it away from us. And this society, Prabhupada says, we want to create a society without any envy. So we can see how we can, whenever we see someone doing something very nicely, the material tendency, which still we have, because we're not completely pure, is to become envious. And sometimes we try to block or create impediments for that person's service. We see them doing very nice. Sometimes we get, myself, I might get angry with some devotees or criticize, but think about it, maybe it's probably that person is doing something so nicely and I can't do, and I'm finding fault. So instead, when we find someone doing so nicely, we should think that, oh, he's satisfying Krishna so nicely, he's serving Krishna so nicely, he's progressing in a spiritual life, and we can be inspired. So out of envy, Lord Indra stole after Prithu Maharaj had done 99 sacrifices, when it came to the 100th sacrifice, that was the last one. If he did that, then Indra's position was gone. So Indra decided to steal the sacrificial horse. And he put out many different garbs of different types of sannyasis just to steal the horse and prevent himself from being killed, from being recognized, and prevent himself from being killed. Because Prithu Maharaj's son was chasing him, and once he saw him in the garb of a sannyasi, he couldn't kill him. So like this, he stole the sacrificial horse many times, and Prithu Maharaj was getting really angry. And we understand from Srila Prabhupada's purports that all these different types of cheating religions, cheating sannyasi, they all came from Lord Indra. He started this, and after that, so many others started following this in the garb of a sannyasi, but in the garb of a renunciate, not following religious principles and cheating people. So finally, Prithu Maharaj got really angry and he decided to kill Lord Indra. And all his priests were saying, no, 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 you can't, because animals are meant to be killed in this sacrifice, not demigods, not devatas. So don't kill him. Instead, what we'll do is we'll chant mantras, and by our mantras, we'll bring Lord Indra here directly into the fire. So they chanted all their mantras, and they were about to offer the oblations to ghee into the fire. Then Lord Brahma appeared on the scene, and he said, no, no, stop. And then he explained why Indra shouldn't be killed. But then he also wanted to find out from Lord Prithu, so what is your goal? Don't forget the goal. What was the goal of the sacrifice? Was it to take the position of Indra? Did Prithu Maharaj want to become Indra? That was not his goal. His goal was to please Vishnu. His goal was devotional service. So Lord Brahma asked, is that your goal? Do you want to take the position of Indra? And this happens to us very often. Sometimes we lose track of what is our goal, what is the end result we want to achieve. And then pure devotees, sadhus, the spiritual master, they keep coming back and reminding us, well, you're going off the wrong path. Is this what you want to bring us back in the right path? So we need to always seek guidance. And Lord Brahma reminded him of his goal. And he explained to him that, look, Lord Indra's, his main reason, he wants to maintain his position because in one sense, he wants to gratify his senses. Whereas you're doing this yajna not because you're attached to the seat of Indra. You want to do it because you want to become a servant of Krishna. You want to become Krishna Das. So don't worry. He says, you don't need to, you're already a devotee. You don't have to, you're doing this for the benefit of all the citizens, not just yourself. You want to become a Krishna Das, you want to become a devotee of Krishna, but you also want all your citizens to become devotees of Krishna. And this is the mood because he's Sakti Avesh Avatar. He's empowered. And he's empowered not just to become, he's already a devotee, but he's empowered to rule in such a way that everyone also becomes devotee. And that we see in our more recent past, or recent times, we understand from Srila Prabhupada that his godbrothers, they were glorifying Srila Prabhupada as a Satyavesha avatar. He was not only, he was a devotee, but he came to do the yajna like Maharaj Prithu was doing. He did the Sankirtan yajna. And he wanted that all the citizens become devotees. So Prithu Maharaj, he decided, he understood, and Lord Brahma explained to him, look, you're already a pure devotee. You don't need to do these sacrifices. You can stop. These are for the karma kanda activity. You have already pleased Lord Vishnu. And after that, what happened after Lord Brahma spoke to him and Prithu Maharaj followed his instruction? Prithu Maharaj didn't say, oh, why are you asking me to stop? You ask Indra to stop. He did that. He should stop first. Why? He was very submissive to the instructions of Lord Brahma, and he said, yes, he accepted it. And he stopped that sacrifice. And he did the procedure to complete the to signify that the yajna was completed. And at the end of that, Lord Vishnu appeared. So 99 sacrifices he did, and Lord Vishnu didn't appear. But then the 100th sacrifice, he didn't do it, and then Lord Vishnu appears. So that is the main, what's the point of devotional service? Is it to just look for, is it just goal orientated? We just try to complete that goal? Or like here we see how Prithu Maharaj, he did the sacrifice, but he did it with so much determination, enthusiasm. And when he was asked to stop by Lord Brahma, it's like a guru, a Siksha guru, he was giving him instruction. And when he followed those instructions, which was, stop the sacrifice, then he became submissive. He took the instructions of the spiritual master, and then the sacrifice was fulfilled. Was success, because Lord Vishnu himself appeared, which is the goal of sacrifice, to please Vishnu. So real success is not doing that 100, but it's to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, to do it with determination, with enthusiasm. We can understand from Srila Prabhupada's example, when he left to the United States of America, he was not sure whether he was going to be completely successful. So he went to Sumati Muraji and he asked for a passage, a ticket on board the Jaladuta. She discouraged him. She said, Swamiji, you will die. And Srila Prabhupada said, let me die following the instructions of my spiritual master. It doesn't matter if I'm successful or not. Because people will say this Bhaktivedanta Swami, he died trying to execute the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So we see in our own lives that sometimes we may not be good book distributors, myself. And the spiritual master may give an instruction, go and distribute books. And someone might distribute 100 books. And someone might just distribute one book. But if he distributed that one book, that was to his best of his abilities. He put in and with enthusiasm, determination, trying to fulfill that instruction, even though he only distributed one book and someone else has distributed 100. But him distributing that one book was success in his devotional service, because that's what his spiritual master asked him to do. He did that. He followed that instruction with great determination, enthusiasm. So it doesn't matter what the result is. Of course, we plan that I want to distribute 100 books, but we go there, even if it's one, we did our best, then that's perfection, that's success of our yajna. So the result of him not doing the 100 yajna was Lord Vishnu himself appeared. And Lord Vishnu appeared with Indra. He was resting his hands on Indra's shoulder and he appeared and he said, he requested Prithu Maharaj to please forgive Lord Indra. And we know how difficult it is to forgive someone. But Lord Krishna is reminding him, or Vishnu is reminding him. I think the previous verses, he says, O king, one who is advanced and intelligent and eager to perform welfare activities for others is considered best amongst human beings. So who is intelligent? One who is eager to perform welfare activities for others. And what is the best welfare activity in this age of Kali? It's described, Krishna Varnam, Tushar Krishnam, Sango Pangashtra Pashadam, Yagye Sankitane Praya Yajantihi Sumedisha. One who is intelligent. What does he do? He performs the Sankirtan Yajna. Just like Prithu Maharaj performed that, the Ashwamedha Yajna, for the welfare of his citizens. So similarly, one who is intelligent, what do? They perform welfare activities. In Kali Yuga, one is intelligent, performs the welfare activity of Sankirtan Yajna. And so he says, you are such a person, you're very intelligent because you're doing this yajna for the benefit of, for the welfare of everyone, not for your own benefit. And therefore, he says, since you're intelligent, you will know the difference between the body and soul. And then he starts describing the characteristics of the soul, similar to Lord Krishna describing this in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, that you're not the body or the soul. And therefore, he says, don't be affected by this, what Indra is doing to you, because that is not at the absolute plane, your Atma. And then he describes the difference between not just the body and the soul, but between the Atma and the Paramatma. And he describes the previous verse that you have become advanced. How do you know this knowledge? That you're not the body and you're the soul. It's because you have executed the orders of the previous Acharya. So by serving the previous Acharyas, by taking instruction of the spiritual master, he has attained the knowledge of he's not the body, he's not the soul. And then he says, not just Atma, but you need to know what is not just Atma, but what is also Paramatma. That is Sambandha Gyan. So everything, all spiritual literature will deal with three subject matters, either Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya, or Prayojan. So this is Sambandha Gyan he's giving. What is our relationship? Who's Atma? Who's Paramatma? And here he describes a few features of Paramatma, which again is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. This is Paramatma is one. The rest of us, we're so many different Atmas and 8.4 million different life forms. But Krishna, he's just one. He's not embodied in these 8.4 million species of life. And he describes how he's self-effulgent and he's nirguna, he's above material quality. And in fact, his gunashraya, all the material qualities reside in him, but he is outside of those. Again, in Bhagavad Gita, any explanation for that. And he's not covered by matter, he's Sakshi, he's the witness. So Paramatma has got two functions, Anumanta and Upadrishta. He's the conscious observer of what's going on. And he's also the sanctioner of whatever desires we have. So Krishna, as Paramatma, he sanctions, and he's also the conscious observer. And he's transcendental, he's para. So these are qualities of the Paramatma that Krishna is explaining. And the result of this, after doing all the sacrifice, Vishnu asked him, what is it that you want? What is that opulence that you want? And he says, all I want is I want millions of years so that I can hear Harikatha. The benefit of pleasing Vishnu, at the end, we see later in the chapter that he got the association of the Chatur Kumaras, the four Kumaras. So we could understand many different things from Prithu Maharaj's pastime, but this is one thing I took back and I found very inspiring, was that we can pray just like Prithu Maharaj. He took the words of Brahma, the spiritual master, very seriously and sacrificed all his material attachments after hearing Brahma. And so we similarly take those instructions of the spiritual master of the sadhus, and with great determination and enthusiasm, we also do the sacrifice all the material attachments, and engage in the ultimate sacrifice, Sankirtan Yajna. Then we also will get the mercy of Krishna. And then by the mercy of Krishna, we'll get the mercy of the association of devotees. Again, the eternal association of devotees in the spiritual world. So he's outlined a very simple process that we can try to follow. Seems quite simple enough. Surrender to the orders of the spiritual master and engage in Sankirtan Yajna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam. Just before inviting devotees to share their thoughts and realizations and comments, just thought we'll speak something. Today is also the author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedavyas, appeared 500 years ago in the land of Nadia as Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, and today is his disappearance day. We're observing the disappearance, the Tirubhav Tithi of Vrindavan Das Thakur. So thought we could just discuss a little bit about his life. So it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami, he describes Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Vedavyas, Chaitanya Lila Ravyas, Vrindavanadhar. The Vyasadeva has compiled Krishna's pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam. And the same Vyasadeva as Vrindavan Das has compiled Gauranga Mahaprabhu's pastime in Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is also known as Chaitanya Mangal initially. So Vrindavan Das appeared about 4 years after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And he appeared in the village of Mamgachi in West Bengal. And his ancestors, they were from Bangladesh, Srihatta, Sylhet. So his mother was a very great devotee, and he's identified as the son of Narayani Devi. We might remember Narayani Devi from Mahaprabhu's pastime, this little girl who's actually the niece of Srivas Pandit and his wife, Malini. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform pastimes in Srivas Angan, there's one particular episode where he asked Narayani, she was maybe 4 years old, and he asked her, chant Hare Krishna and dance in ecstasy. And she immediately started chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And she was crying and dancing. And it was just so simple. You get that instruction and do it, and you get on the fly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many places, when he went to South India, he would just do that. He'd just hug someone and say, chant Hare Krishna, and the person would start chanting ecstatically and receive God. And he would say, go to the village. And that's where the verse he says, Yaradi Katarika, Krishna. Just go to the village and spread this holy name. So that man, he goes mad and he goes to the village and he just hugs everyone and chants Hare Krishna. And that person starts chanting, the whole village starts chanting. So she also had the good fortune of accepting Mahaprabhu's remnant many times. Mahaprabhu would give his remnants from his plate. Sometimes when he chews betel nut or something, he maybe betel, and he gives it straight to Narayani. And it said in Gaur Gunadesha Deepika, Kavi Karnapur explains that Krishna had a nurse by the name of Ambika, one of the main nurses who was looking after Krishna. And that nurse had a sister called Kilimbika. And that sister's main service was to accept the remnants of Krishna. So whatever the remnants were, she would accept the remnants of Krishna. And in Chaitanya Leela, Ambika came as Malini, the wife of Srivas Pandit. And Kilimbika came as Narayani Devi. And she's doing the same activities, accepting the remnants of Mahaprabhu. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, he studied in, he spent 10 years in Mamgachi, in that village, where he met Nityananda Prabhu. He is the last disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. He took initiation from Nityananda Prabhu, and he was traveling with Nityananda Prabhu. Wherever he would go preaching. Well, wherever Nityananda Prabhu would go preaching, he would join him. And it said that Mahaprabhu had actually forbade Nityananda Prabhu from coming to Jagannath Puri. He says, you don't need to come here, you go out and preach. So Nityananda Prabhu would always be going and preaching. Sometimes he would disobey the orders and go to Jagannath. But while Vrindavan Das Thakur was with Nityananda Prabhu, he didn't go to Jagannath. So Vrindavan Das Thakur and all the followers of Nityananda Prabhu, they're always waiting, when will Nityananda Prabhu go to Jagannath Puri and we'll have darshan of Mahaprabhu. So once Nityananda Prabhu decided, yes, I will go to Jagannath Puri, and his followers were like, yes, we're finally going to see Mahaprabhu. So they were so excited. But Nityananda Prabhu said, on the way, we will go through this village called Denur and then go to Jagannath. So when they went to Denur, they came huge Sankirtan party, everyone is chanting, dancing, and the villagers were all wanting to serve them. So outside the village, they had a big picnic. All the villagers came, they did Harinam Sankirtan and fed them sumptuous prasad. And after eating, they were all full, because it's not simple rice dal, so it's really very opulent prasad. So after that, Nityananda Prabhu felt full and a bit uncomfortable. So he asked for this fruit called haritaki. Haritaki. So that's good for digestion. And devotees, Nityananda Prabhu used to, on and off, whenever he felt a bit too full after prasad, he would ask for this haritaki. And Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was such a wonderful disciple. He knows he can foresee that my spiritual master might need this, so he carried it with him. So Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu at that time, he turned around and said, "Oh, Darwin, I need some haritaki. Could you get me some haritaki?" And immediately he took it out from his bag and gave it to Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu said, "Where did this come from?" He said, "Oh, I was carrying it with me because I know sometimes you might require it. So I kept it with me all the time." And Nityananda Prabhu, he got so angry. Spiritual master, I mean, the disciple serving so nicely, but he got so angry and he was trying to teach him a lesson because he was renounced, wasn't a Grahastha. He said, "This is the Grahastha mentality. That you have no faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have no faith in Nityananda Prabhu that the Lord will provide. You have to carry yourself and you have to bring it along and save it." That's a Grahastha mentality. We're always saving, keeping some extra pack prasad for 1 week. But Renansi, it's not. I mean, I've heard my spiritual master, he said, "Brahmachari should not even have a bank account. What's the need for saving? There's no need for you, just depend on Krishna." Once one of my godbrothers, he was a young brahmachari at that time. We were in Jaipur at the temple of Radha Govindadev temple. And so he has been hearing this, and he was thinking, he's a young brahmachari. Maybe his mother had just departed, and he was thinking, "Oh, if I remain brahmachari, how will I maintain myself? Do I need some savings?" He was just thinking, and he was just chanting in the morning. And then somebody just came and dropped like a 5 rupee note on his hands and left. And he immediately thought, "Oh, why am I thinking like this? I shouldn't be thinking. Krishna will provide." So he was scrolling. He said, "No faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Krishna that he'll provide, that you have to carry along with you." And then he threw that haritaki away. He didn't take it from Vrindavan Das Thakur. So then he said, "No, you've got this mentality now, so you better not travel with me. You just stay here in Denu. You don't come with me anymore." And Vrindavan Das Thakur was shattered. One, I mean, he wants to be with his spiritual master. Number two, he was going to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Till then, he had never seen Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And now Nityananda Prabhu was going to Puri and he was going to have that. Now Nityananda Prabhu said, "Nope, you don't come. You stay here in Denur." And Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was holding the lotus feet of his spiritual master. Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was holding Nityananda Prabhu's lotus feet and crying. He says, "I'm an orphan. I have no mother, no father. I have no one except you. You are everything to me. Please be merciful. Please take me." How many of us would have cried to our spiritual master like that? He's a real eternal father. There's no one else. He's a mother, father. Every life we've had so many mothers and fathers. Spiritual master, not every life. So he was begging him and crying, and Nityananda Prabhu felt quite, he felt for him. But he said, "Don't worry." He said, "You don't have to come to Jagannath Puri." He said, "You will get darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here itself in Denu. You don't have to go and see." And he had some carpenters carve the deity of Gaurnitai. And he established that worship of the deity, and Vrindavan Das Thakur was worshipping those deities. And by the order of the spiritual master asked him, Nityananda Prabhu, he said, "You stay here and describe the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." And he had 4 disciples in that village, just only 4 disciples. And one of those disciples is Ram Hari. Apparently their lineage is still looking after his pastime places there in the temple. So Nityananda Prabhu said, "Don't worry about seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You stay here and you do this wonderful service by which you can benefit all the living entities." So till the time he left his body, Vrindavan Das Thakur, it's described that he didn't leave this village because that was the instruction of his spiritual master. For us, it's easier. We might, spiritual master may be in one place, but we can say, "Maharaj, I'm going to Vrindavan tomorrow. I can buy a ticket and go. Maybe I'll meet you there if you're coming." But he's not like that. He could have gone to Jagannath Puri himself, but his spiritual master's instruction was stay there and describe the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he stayed there, just fulfill that instruction. And he composed this most wonderful scripture that Chaitanya Bhagavat, or initially known as Chaitanya Mangal. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is glorifying Chaitanya Bhagavat. And he's saying, even if the most sinful person, a degraded person, Mlecha, reads this scripture, he will develop, he will understand what is the essence of devotional service. He will understand what is the limit of bhakti, what is the limit of Krishna bhakti. And his heart will melt in it. Ocean of material existence must worship Nityananda Prabhu, who's Guru Tattva. So that is our only hope. And then he describes in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he keeps repeating, Amara Prabhura Prabhu, Shri Gaura Sundar, E Bhara Bhara Shachite, Dhari Nirantar. He doesn't claim that I am the servant of Krishna. He says, Amar Prabhura Prabhu. He's my, Gaurasundar is the master of my master. And this is the great hope that I have in my heart. He doesn't approach Krishna directly. Actually, he didn't even see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He didn't get to go to Jagannath Puri. But he just knows his master, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is his master's master. And if he serves his master, definitely Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Nityananda Prabhu told him that, don't worry, just do this service, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself will. And we see how Prithu Maharaj, he just followed the instruction of Lord Brahma, and Vishnu himself came. So that is our relationship. Our relationship is with the pure devotee of the Lord. And through his mercy, we'll be able to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's a little bit about Vrindavan Das Thakur. Maybe I can request devotees would like to share some comments, realization, correction. Would you like to? You've been to Mamgachi? Denur? Denur, where Vrindavan Das Thakur was. Mamgachi. Prabhu, would you like to share anything? Yes, oh, you. Lord Brahma came in because he was about to kill Lord Indra because he was obstructing that 100th sacrifice. So he wanted to kill Indra and then he'll perform that 100th sacrifice. But then Lord Brahma came and stopped him because for many other reasons he describes how Lord Indra is also an empowered servant of Krishna. He also has a role. We shouldn't kill him. And we should stop this animosity because Lord Indra, every time he attempted to the 100th sacrifice, he would steal the horse and then he will come up with a different type of sannyas. So he's introducing more and more irreligion. And so he said, stop all this. And then he said, you don't need to do this because you're already a devotee. The yajnas are for those who have some material motivation. But you're already a devotee, so you don't need to do this. And just stop that. And then he took bath, and at the end of the sacrifice, you're supposed to do some ritual, which he did. And then he had darshan of Lord Vishnu. That's just a summary of that. There's a lot more details that I missed out and I can't remember at the moment. Any other Mataji's? All right, thank you very much. We'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Vrindavan Das Thakur, Tirubhav Titi Mahotsav ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Prema, Vivancha Kalpadru Vishnu Kripa Sindhu, Vaishnavebhyo Namo.